And the intention that I'm bringing for today's practice, especially with what we'll call the vagus nerve yoga, is to create a little bit of space to remove some of the obstacles that we can accumulate within us that kind of stand between us and our own wisest true nature. And as we make our way towards the practice, I'll invite you to visualize that the vagus nerve is like a river. And we often describe the vagus nerve as this communication network between body and brain. And if we think about this like a river, that ultimately what we want is for the flow to be moving as clearly as possible. And we all know that sometimes in rivers, we can get the buildup of sediment or rocks or sticks that can kind of impede that flow. And sometimes we can get a flash flood, we get too much flow. And so we're looking for kind of just like this just right sweet spot. And it's not that it's always going to be in that just right zone, but that we know how to modulate when we feel like we've got too much energy, too much movement. And we know how to open ourselves back up when we feel like there's obstacles. I will share with you one of my favorite poems that represents this, and it's a short poem. It's a Japanese poem, and the translation of its title is called Unobstructed, and it's by Ryokan. Like the little stream making its way through the mossy crevices, I too quietly turn clear and transparent. Like the little stream making its way through the mossy crevices, I too quietly turn clear and transparent. And so we'll use this practice, we'll invite this practice to just open up that channel, that river. And I'll invite you to take a moment to notice what is present for you as we start. Notice what you are bringing with you into this practice. Perhaps noticing the state of mind, whether your mind is jumping around and filled with lots of thoughts. And again, no judgment. When we're observing, we are simply doing that, just taking note so that we can better attend to ourselves. Maybe your mind feels foggy or a little dull or fatigued. That too is welcome here. And noticing perhaps clear mind, or even reflecting on a time when you've had a clear mind and how that feels. Bringing your attention to your body, and perhaps again sensing whether there's areas of tension or contraction, or maybe it's hard to sense and feel your body. You might also notice that you feel easeful or calm. And no right, no wrong. For our purposes, no better or worse. It's information that will help you take care of yourself. And then noticing your breath. Where your breath is flowing with ease and fluidity. If there's any areas where you feel constriction or shallowness to your breath. And know that we'll be breathing throughout our time together, and perhaps beginning to open up a little bit more of that connectivity. Also bringing here your emotional presence, noticing what emotions are here for you, welcoming yourself, the whole range as you are. knowing that all of you is welcome here. And likewise, just noticing the state of your energy, whether you feel contracted and heavy or expanded or maybe a little ungrounded. And using all of this as a ground of information that will help you take really good care of yourself today. And then I'll invite you to bring some attention to the feeling of your face. Feeling of your face. Now, again, always an invitation. You can opt in, opt out. But if it feels okay, you might take your hands and just start to wake up that feeling of your face with a little bit of self-applied touch. Just bringing or sweeping your fingertips across your forehead, around your eyes, around your mouth and jaw. You might even move your face in relationship to your hands. Sometimes it can actually feel good to just scrunch up your face, stick your tongue out, right? Just allow maybe even a sound to come into view, and waking up this ventral vagal upper circuit of your vagus nerve by sensing and feeling a little bit of this interface between the inner you and the world around you. And this is just for you right now, right? Just allowing yourself to become more awake, aware of yourself, for yourself. We often use our faces to reflect the world around us, the people around us. And this is a chance for you to just give your face back to you. You might massage around your temples, between your eyebrows, above and below your cheekbones. As you wake up the feeling of your face. Maybe your jaw. My personal favorite is to take little V's of the first and second fingers and just massage in front of and behind the ears. Maybe a sound. Maybe you open and close your jaw. And also perhaps greeting your ears, rolling your earlobes out, rolling them in. You can even take a moment to cup your hands over your ears as an invitation to know that you are listening to you, right? I'm here, I'll offer some guidance for our movement, but it's the inner listening that we're really waking up here. And then allowing your fingertips to maybe come down to the sides of your neck. Sensing and feeling the front of your throat, the back of your neck. And then if and when it feels right, maybe just releasing your hands for a moment. Maybe just taking a brief pause here to sense and feel that experience of waking up at the sensory input, that sensory experience of your face. How do you sense that now? Maybe it's a subtle temperature shift. Maybe it's a little bit more aliveness or awareness of your skin. It might even be a little bit more awareness of emotions that are present for you that you perhaps didn't even know you were carrying. Sometimes that happens when we wake up, the feeling of the face. And our next invitation is to start to bring in the breath a bit more intentionally. And I'll invite us to use our hands. But again, if anything I ever offer doesn't feel right, skip it, drop it. Placing one hand over your belly, one hand over your heart, and beginning to feel the movement of your breath beneath your hands, perhaps really expanding your lower belly into your lower hand. Let the breath continue upward, expanding into your chest. And then on the exhale pattern, releasing chest, releasing belly, and finding your rhythm of breath, your depth, and once again, this embodied connection to you. And for me, as soon as I start bringing breath into body, there's a generous invitation here to start to allow the spine to move with the breath. So you might allow yourself to curl a little bit forward on the exhale, and inhale, allow your spine to lengthen. Finding your way into contraction and expansion. Knowing that there are often real seeds or nuggets of importance that are found in those spaces of contraction that help root us and support us as we move into expansion. And as you continue to explore breath and movement, you might even bring your hands into the action, your hands and arms, so that as you inhale and expand, your arms are opening like wings. And on the exhale, maybe you return to your core, your center, this tether, so that as you open up to the world, you don't lose that core sense of self, that sensing onto yourself. And it's your rhythm, your breath, your movement. Make this yours. You might stay in this flexion extension, or you might begin to take this into shapes greeting your side body. I'm going to shift over to my mat at this point, giving myself a little bit more room to move with you. Finding your way in. And again, making it yours. When we think of spinal movements, we can often think of these 6 directions of the spine: flexion and extension, side body, each side, and twisting movements. So as you find a little bit of your own free form movement, you might even keep in mind that that gives a little bit of structure to explore within. Maybe there's a sound. Maybe you find a shape that seems to hold some gold for you, and you want to mine it there for a little bit, stay a little bit longer, get to know what it's holding. Before moving on and finding another experience of yourself, this whole range of you. Beautiful. And you are welcome to stay with these seated spinal movements. Some of you might have already moved into more of a cat-cow exploration of this. And if you haven't, there's an invitation for that here. Maybe finding a different home base for your movement. And then once again, this becomes kind of your ground. And from here, you get to move around, explore the territory. What are your hips holding for you today? What's in your shoulders? You might even sense and feel yourself like your favorite animal, just waking up from a nap. How does your body want to move? Like a full body yawn. Or you might experiment with sensing your whole body like a cloud form. And you are the particles of that cloud condensing and expanding. How does your cloud shape want to move? You might look up in the sky and say, oh, I see a bird. See what's up there for you. And it gets to be a little playful too, right? This journey of healing on the mat is one that allows you to be instinctual. You get to embody your imagination. And you can stay with movement, or I'll invite a brief pause, letting yourself press back into either a child's pose, or if you prefer seated, or anything in between that allows you to just find your way back to the sensory awareness of yourself in space. We alternate between moving and sensing, gathering yourself upon yourself. And as you sense, you can become aware once again of the state of your nervous system, body and mind, breath and energy. And check in. What do I need now? Is this a time for more stillness? Am I eager for movement? How do you know? And you are welcome to stay here, just letting the class hold you, or allowing yourself to re-enter movement. Choosing perhaps to find your way into a downward facing dog. And this downward dog, once again, gets to be a little bit of a home base for your exploratory movement. How would you like to move here? Maybe you walk it out. Maybe you bend both knees and re-lengthen, or find a little twist in your hips. Maybe you prefer stillness here. How does your body tell you what it wants? Listening to and being guided by those sensations. And you're welcome to stay here longer, or if you'd like, begin to take a walk towards the front of your mat and making your way towards A standing forward fold. I'll offer up soft knees and a bit of a ragdoll shape here, letting your upper body simply release over your legs. Personally, for me, I like to have my hands on the floor. It's a little more grounding with those 4 points of contact. But blocks are also a really lovely option for that. And if you prefer to hang in your ragdoll, you can take pinkies to opposite elbow creases. Just exploring for you whether, again, you want more support, whether you want movement or stillness. Maybe you try on one and see how it feels, and then try another experience. In our journey of yoga, or svadhyaya is the self-study, and it gives opportunities to know yourself through asana, through the movements, through the breath. Simply a journey of knowing yourself. And then gently, lovingly from here, I'll invite you to find a halfway lift. Now you can still keep a bend in your knees, maybe experiment with how it feels to bring a little more tone to your spine, to your belly. Inhale and exhale to fold. And we'll repeat that a few more times, just building what we call vagal efficiency. Inhale and exhale. Efficiency to help us tolerate change, whether that's postural change, whether that's change in the world. Vagal efficiency is the foundation for resilience. Good. One more half lift, just like that. Inhale. Exhale. And then pressing down, making your way to standing, maybe with that long spine. Maybe you roll up and arriving to standing, new relationship to gravity. And take your time once you get here to acclimate, to arrive and sense and feel. What are you needing in this moment? What's present for you now? Beautiful. From here, I'll offer up an opportunity to find a little bit of side body awakening while standing, and I'll show a few options for you. Inhale, sweeping your arms up overhead, and exhale, option one, use your lower hand just to really give that grounding of contact with your hip or leg. And then inhale through center, we'll switch sides. Notice how it feels to have that point of contact as you contract one side body and open the other. Inhale through center. Let's repeat that version again. Just feeling how the support helps you find the shape. Inhaling through center, into side two, exhale. Good. And you can stay with that version, or maybe you experiment with taking hold of the opposite wrist as you come into that side body bend. Coming through center, exhale, taking the upper wrist as you come into the side body stretch. Inhaling through center. We'll do it one more time. Your choice, what version is right for you. And then coming up through center, this time releasing your hands, and a few options here. Option 1 is to place your hands in back pockets. Option 2 is to interlace your hands behind you. Either way, allowing yourself to find a little lift of your heart. Inhaling here, and exhale, soft knees into a forward fold. Maybe your hands are clasped behind you and lift up overhead. If they were at your sacrum, you can keep them there or slide them down to the earth once again. Finding just a few breaths here in your forward fold, your chosen version. And then softening your hands by way of sacrum down to the earth. Once again, a halfway lift, inhale. And exhale, forward fold, planting your hands. And we're going to make our way down to the mat. Now you can get there however you'd like. I'm going to offer coming into a plank for a moment, feeling that core strength supporting you. Inhale here. And exhale, lowering knees, chest and chin to the mat. For a moment, stay with this shape of your hips lifting before lowering and lengthening through your lower back. Now, arriving here, first time belly down on the mat. And it can feel good just to greet this shape, really sensing the support of the earth beneath you. You might wiggle a little bit side to side here, really sensing your navel connection to the earth. And you can stay just like this, or you might find some gentle cobra, lifting through your shoulders, the crown of your head, and lowering on the exhale. And you get to choose how much weight in your hands, how much lift of your heart. Finding several more rolling cobras here, your pace, your rhythm. Tuning into your breath and how it supports the shape. You might even experiment with the placement of your hands and how it changes the shape. Maybe your hands are further away from your body. Maybe they're closer in. One more, your chosen variation. Before releasing down. And once again, a brief pause in child's pose. Settling, returning your awareness, your attention back inward toward yourself. In yoga, we call this pratyahara. It's the inward turn of your attention, the sensing of yourself, drawing your senses inward. Deep nourishment for your nervous system. And another chance to check in. Would you like more movement? Would you like more stillness? Staying here or any chosen shape for stillness, or if you're wanting to be guided for some more movement, coming back through table and pressing your way into a downward facing dog. Allowing yourself to get there, be nourished by this new shape. Once again, a familiar shape. Stillness or movement. And another opportunity to make your way to the front of the mat. Now, depending on what your body's needing, maybe you want to saunter there. You want to take a nice slow walk. Maybe you want to pounce there, take a little hop. Right? No right, no wrong. Your body, your practice. Once you arrive at the front, a halfway lift, inhale. Exhale to fold. Inhale to standing. Exhale, samastitihi, palm to heart. A prayer for equal standing, for equanimity. Exploring this balance of the courage to greet yourself in practice, balanced with compassion, to deeply love and accept yourself as you are. We're going to turn into the long side of the mat now, an invitation to step wide. And from this wide stance, maybe allowing your arms to match your legs here, taking this wide, expanded, five-pointed star, and allowing yourself to feel what it feels like to take up this much space. Perhaps it's a quality of expressing through expansion joy or reach or potential. Notice if it feels comfortable or even a little uncomfortable, all being welcome here. We're going to take our five-pointed star and we're going to turn it into a warrior two towards the right. I'm going to turn my right toes, bending through my right knee. And this now will become the new home base, right? The new secure base for our exploratory movement. And so from here, an invitation to find some movement. You might find a little bit back and forth. You might reach away and toward. Some of the shapes that you might find might have classical yoga posture names like extended side angle or even triangle. You can bend and come out of the bend of the front knee. Maybe as you're reversing your shape, but really let this be yours. So you're not so much focused on that outer form of the shape, but more so, what does it feel like on the inside? Perhaps again, exploring how it feels to find a bit of contraction and expansion. To play in space with gravity. It's like you're on your own roller coaster ride. And maybe it's just a merry-go-round. Maybe it's the kiddie ride. All welcome. Maybe you reach down and touch the earth. Maybe you reach for the sky and everything in between. Beautiful. And then when you feel complete on this side, we're going to meet once again, five-pointed star. Maybe you shake out your hips. And before going to side two, turning both toes out and an invitation to bend through both knees. And just playing a little bit in the in-between space here of a goddess shape in the legs, a grounded shape. Maybe sometimes it's referred to as horse. You choose the name that fits for you today. Maybe you even let your arms come up, and it's a great shape even to explore a little bit of playful ferocity, right? You can even give it a lion's breath, a roar, right? Just letting something express itself through sound, through the feeling of your face. We can find it one more time. Maybe you stick your tongue out, cross your eyes. And then inhale, five-pointed star. And then pausing for a moment. You can keep your legs as they are or softly bend your knees and just finding your hands to heart or to hips or belly. Something that lets you come back to you before moving into side two. And if and when you're ready, once again, you might expand and then take your left toes out. So we have this home base for movement on side two. Now remember, there's still movement in what we might call a more static hold. So say you're in a warrior two and you just want to pause there. inside there is breath moving, there is your circulatory system, you've got neurotransmitters and hormones and emotions, all of that movement, that current, that river flowing. And maybe that movement is more reflective of what's happening on the outside. And knowing that that whole range from stillness to outer movement are equally valid and important. I think we live in a world that sometimes validates those external forms, right? That's what gets put on the cover of Yoga Journal, right? Some fancy shape, but the quiet spaces and the stillness can actually have so much potency going towards the contraction, greeting yourself in the subtleties. And when you feel complete on this side, allowing yourself to once again find your way to a 5-pointed star. And then softening through your arms, through your legs, and coming back into a standing shape that feels most supportive for you right now. 2 feet on the earth for a moment, knowing that we're going to go into a little bit of balance. Maybe you hear that word balance and you go, oh no, right? Or maybe you hear that word balance and you say, yippee. But again, all is welcome. And if you're in the oh no category, you can use friendly supports like a windowsill or a wall. And we're going to go into a tree pose today. So allowing yourself to choose one leg. I'm going to choose my right leg as my standing leg, my root system, sending those roots deep into the earth and allowing that ground to be the support for the uplifting. Now, left toes might stay on the earth, or maybe you bring them to inner leg below or above your knee. Again, it's not about this outer form. It's about what's happening on the inside. And then the invitation is to find your own expression. Maybe it's a reach and an uplift through your arms. Maybe it's staying nice and close in. How would you like this tree to reflect what's true for you right now? What are you needing right now? Sensing your breath and what's happening between your ears, what's happening in your mind. And then slowly returning your lifted leg to the earth and noticing how it feels between left and right sides of your body as we take a mindful pause between sides. And then, if and when you're ready, finding your way into side 2. Side 2 might have a very different need from you. And so you simply honor, what is this side needing? How does this side want to express? When we look at trees in nature, we often deeply appreciate the way that the elements of the world around them have shaped them, right? Trees have knots and gnarls and asymmetries because of their access to soil, nutrients, water, and sunlight. And we too have been shaped by the elements of the world around us, our own access to resources. Would it be possible to appreciate yourself in the same way that you would appreciate that tree? Your own asymmetries being welcome here, the way that you have adapted and the ways that you have found your resilience, maybe in the unexpected ways. And then allowing yourself to find your way to 2 feet on the earth, coming back to your breath. And from here, no big fancy transition, but I will invite you to find your way back to your belly, finding your way back to your belly. So if you want to take a fancy flow there, go for it. If you just want to make your way down, go for it. And as you arrive belly down to the earth for the second time today, just noticing. Maybe you stack your hands, rest your forehead. You can even turn your toes out in what we classically call crocodile pose. And our final movements here, and from this belly down shape, invite a little bit of playful movements, the same kind of movements we might see in an infant or toddler that's kind of exploring their relationship to the world around them. So their first shape here is a sphinx shape with your forearms down, your elbows beneath your shoulders, and we'll find what we'll call a sphinx frog. So finding a bent left knee, you can even turn your left foot so you've got a 90-degree bend in knee and foot. And then I'll invite you to take your right toes and curl them under. And in this shape, maybe give yourself a little rock, rocking forward and back, lifting through the crown of your head if that feels right. Ah. And then untucking your right toes. And you might even take a moment to give a little twist and turn over your left shoulder, gazing towards left knee, left foot, coming in and out of that twisting shape. This little sphinx frog variation here. Unwinding tension, exploring what's present for you. And then slowly returning back to center. 2 forearms down on the mat, 2 legs long. Noticing what you feel now as you press downward in your forearms to lift through your heart. And then finding all of that on side 2, bending right knee, 90 degrees, bending right ankle, maybe tucking your left toes. Giving it a little bit of a rock here. Letting that rocking feel good, if it does for you. And then untucking your toes, maybe planting your right hand, and just a few twists here to the right. And it's another place to feel into some of the asymmetries that we might carry as humans. You might notice that one of your hips is a little tighter than the other, or your shoulders. Maybe it's more in the deep belly muscle of the psoas. This shape often illuminates all of those places and helps us unwind tension, sending your breath into those areas of contraction if you find them. And then unwinding, two forearms down, legs long. And I'll invite another transition. You can do it your own way, but to roll onto your back. I like to just simply slide one arm under, and if you roll off your mat, you can come back and recenter yourself. And then as you arrive on your back, you might take another moment to find a little bit of that rocking integration. Rocking here might be 2 feet forward, letting your heels rock with your knees bent. Or you might send your legs long and rock your heels here, just sending a little bit of rocking vibration through your ankles, knees, hips, low belly, spine, all of your digestive organs, heart and lungs getting rocked here. Shoulders, arms, hands, neck and throat, whole head being rocked. And then slowly letting the rocking come into stillness and sensing and feeling what arises for you in the stillness one more time. Now, as we arrive in a classic Shavasana pose, a resting pose, if it doesn't feel right for you, adapt and change. Find any shape that feels just right to receive your practice. Knowing that even here you have choice. Perhaps you even sense that river within a little bit more free to flow, a little bit more unobstructed. Knowing that you are welcome to stay here, receive, integrate as long as you'd like. If you are ready to, desiring to, return back to seated, maybe bending your knees, maybe rocking to one side in a curled up shape, little fetal pose, a marker of a new beginning. And then perhaps pressing up to sitting and allowing yourself to just bring that experience with you as we transition back into the world. Consciously honoring and closing this practice, maybe a moment just to tune in, inwardly thanking yourself for the courage that it takes to engage in these practices, to lean in towards places of contraction, and balancing as we do with compassion. Namaste. Hmm.